Hello everyone, this is Pal Ponder on Weather coming at you with another video. In this update, we're going to be talking about Hurricane Delta making landfall as a strong Category 2 late Friday night. Unfortunately, only about 10 to 15 miles away from where Laura made landfall just 6 weeks ago. So before I do get started, if you do like weather-related content, please subscribe to my channel as I will upload about 5 videos a week to keep you updated. And I do ask you to share this video with your friends and family that are going to be impacted from this storm. So let's kind of delve into the details. What we're looking at now is the overall infrared satellite picture of Laura. It came off the coast of the Yucatan, which it kind of sheared it apart yesterday. But now that it's back up into the open waters, it's kind of re-strengthening now, and it's re-strengthened back to a Category 2. Currently, it's a 100-mile-per-hour hurricane, and you can see some of the deepening colder cloud tops, and it's starting to strengthen again because it's basically in the heart of the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. This is expected to strengthen back into a major hurricane, and then hopefully with shear and some cooler water, weaken it a little bit on its approach to Louisiana. So let's take a look at the overall watches and warnings, and these are all posted now. We basically have tropical storm warnings actually all the way into Galveston. Even though it's not going to make landfall, you're still going to get impacted with tropical storm force winds in your area and Far East Texas, but all along the coast from essentially Lake Charles all the way to New Orleans, you're under a hurricane watch or even a tropical storm watch where you're going to get tropical storm force winds. But right in the heart of it, basically around Lake Charles, Cameron, Louisiana, that's where this is going to be making landfall. And I'll show you all models pretty much agree now that it's basically going to make landfall almost, unfortunately, exactly where Laura made landfall just 6 weeks ago. If we take a look at the overall latest National Hurricane Center outlook, it is a 100-mile-per-hour hurricane. It's moving about 15 miles an hour. It's going to start getting affected by this trough later on today in Texas, which will keep it away from Texas, and this will move it northward and eventually north-northeast later on in the period. But you can see another overnight making landfalling hurricane. It seems like all of these have made landfall in the middle of the night, and this will be no different. I think right now the estimated time frame is about midnight, possibly coming ashore Friday night into Saturday morning. So I think Laura was like 1 o'clock in the morning. So Delta is not going to be, too much different. But yeah, the similarities are just uncanny. I mean, we had a strong Category 4 hurricane that made landfall near Cameron, Louisiana just 6 weeks ago on August 26th from Laura. And then Delta is expected to make landfall only about 10 to 15 miles to the east of where Laura made landfall as a strong Category 2. So this has actually happened before. The last time this actually happened was back in 2004 when we had Hurricane Jean and Francis making landfall in Florida only about 2 miles apart. So definitely rare, but it has actually happened before. And unfortunately, they don't need any more impacts because they got devastated with Laura, and Delta is just going to be adding to insult to injury over there. But taking a look at the overall infrared satellite picture from the latest hurricane HWRF model, this is where I think it's basically going to kind of peak out over the Gulf probably later on the night. I think it's going to max out somewhere around 115, 120, if not maybe 125 miles per hour in the middle of the Gulf. But as this starts to move northward, it's going to run into some cooler waters left over from like Sally and some cold fronts. And then we have a trough that brings a little bit of a shear on the northwest side. So with that combination, it is expected to weaken a little bit as it comes ashore, but still make landfall as a strong Category 2. And surge is a big issue as well. So we've got storm surge all the way from Port Arthur, where we have about 1 to 3 feet, to High Island, even though it's not even going to hit Texas, you're still going to get storm surge from this storm. But right around where it's going to be making landfall, Cameron, Louisiana, 4 to 7 inches, and on the right front quadrant, which is typically always the worst side of the storm, peaking out about 7 to 11 feet. And I don't know if you remember with Laura, when some of these higher storm surges were a lot higher, but this model has been pretty accurate, because it verified with Laura when it was forecasting, up to 15, 18 feet storm surge. A week later, after they investigated, they did find a storm surge a little bit over 17 feet. So this is not out of the question that it can reach this caliber. And I do think with this storm coming in at 105 miles per hour, we can still get to a 7 to 11 foot storm surge on combination of the heavy rainfall as well. If we take a look at the overall drop zone, this is the National Hurricane Recon Center. This is from the Tropical Tidbits website, and this actually updates fairly often now. So it was at 970. Now it's down to 969. I think they found one even 966 now. So this is definitely a redeveloping, strengthening hurricane again. Remember, it peaked out about 954. So it's definitely gaining its strength and kind of getting its act together in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico as we speak. So if you take a look at the overall NAM outlook as far as the guesstimated winds, by Friday evening, those strong 130 mile per hour winds are going to be offshore, fortunately. But man, it's just daunting that, even with tropical storm force winds coming ashore Friday night into the Galveston area, 50, 60 miles per hour, getting into East Texas, and these hurricane force winds are going to start pushing ashore starting Friday evening as we turn dark, and they just go downhill from there with an expected landfall almost about midnight, where these higher wind gusts come in of 80, 90, if not 100 mile per hour, comes in around Lake Charles, Cameron, Louisiana, and just to the east of there. So this whole area is going to be under the gun with high impacts, major impacts from this storm, as you did with Laura just 6 weeks ago. So Delta is definitely packing a punch, but I've never really seen the congruency of models. I mean, it's pretty much dead on now. I mean, it's all of them agree it's going to be pretty much hitting, Lake Charles, Cameron, Louisiana, just about east of Cameron, Louisiana. So all models are pretty much kind of zeroing in on this area by Friday evening. But unfortunately, it's going to be hitting an area that's already seen a tremendous amount of rainfall. Now, we do have a La Nina starting, and it is drier conditions kind of feeding in. But this southeast has not seen any let up with the rainfall. And you can see where Delta is going to be coming in and making landfall. This is the percentages above average year to date, and they're well above average. So this is just going to be adding to those totals, and the path that Delta is going to take is going to cross over Arkansas and getting into Kentucky, and so all these areas are above average as well. So you really don't need any more rainfall, and you're going to get it in a big way. These rains extend well inland. If you take a look at the latest Euro model, you can see the heart of the storm impacting all the way up to about 10 inches of rain right where the eye comes ashore. And depending on the heavier bands and where they kind of set up, it looks like possibly New Orleans area might be in what they call a dry slot. So right now they're really only expecting maybe a half inch, maybe up to an inch of rain in the New Orleans area. But yeah, it really ramps up in a big way just west of there, with a prime spot around Alexandria, getting up to all the way up to maybe a foot of rain in certain spots in Louisiana. And so if we expand the view, you can see where those heavier rains extend well inland, pretty much covering the central part of Louisiana, getting into southern Arkansas, getting multi-inch rains come in. And as this trough kind of picks it up and kind of somewhat moves it eastward, and it really dives eastward, those multi-inch rains extend all the way in the Tennessee Valley, getting into Kentucky, getting into the Carolinas, especially North Carolina. And this will eventually filter into Virginia by early next week. and maybe kind of eventually peter itself out over the New Jersey area, getting into the action with possibly 1 to 2 inches rainfall from Delta, and that will probably won't even be until like Tuesday time frame. But yeah, these rains extend well inland as it comes ashore with impacts. Obviously, it won't be a storm by then, but it'll be still a low pressure spending multi-inch rains well inland as it finally moves offshore by Wednesday of next week. So man, it's a lot to talk about with Delta this morning. I appreciate you guys watching. If you're going to be impacted from this storm, or any friends that are going to be impacted from this storm, please share this video with them and let them know this is nothing to mess with. So, I mean, unfortunately, this spot is going to be, hit again with another powerful hurricane. So I appreciate you guys watching. Please like this video, leave your comments below, and consider subscribing to my channel, and catch me in the next video where I protect you before and after the storm.